Welcome to Fascinating People with Sheila Mitchell. We have interviewed some incredible people. I've interviewed 2 men who walked on the moon. I used to have dinner with all the men that walked on the moon. Right now, I am so overwhelmed with joy to get to interview Joe Flynn, and I'm turning it over to him. He is so awesome. Joe?
Sheila, she's was married to a man who walked on the moon and probably met many of the astronauts, and I don't even come close to that category of hero, number one, and thank your family for its service in demonstrating to the world how great this country is, that we can send people to another planet, or to another satellite around outside of Earth. I mean, what an amazing accomplishment, and I'm sure you've seen and heard so many amazing stories throughout your life. So I appreciate that.
About them.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that. That's really great, and what a great testimony to the great nation that we have, and that we don't want to give up. That we want to keep fighting for.
That's right.
So,
absolutely.
Really good.
Well, I have a million questions. This interview could go forever, but I want to be really succinct.
Sure.
You're asking us to go to your website, which is?
Well, my website is theamericaproject.com. Okay, and the America Project is an organization that we've created in order to be kind of the centerpiece to provide resources for grassroots organizations across the United States that need funding, that need training. What we found is that there's a lot of, particularly on the conservative side, there's a lot of local organizations or small organizations that have big ambitions, but they don't have proper reach. They don't have access to people who can get them help, people who can get them dollars, people who can get them training. So we've created an organization where those grassroots groups can come to us. It's called the America Project. We're based down in Southwest Florida. It's some former members of the Trump administration are involved. My brother, General Flynn, is involved. Myself, Patrick Byrne. And, we're just really excited about being part of the solution to stopping this country from sliding into kind of a secular Marxist socialist society, which, of course, we don't want to see, because we know those of us that have been around long enough know how that fails, right? And how badly it ends up for our citizens, and we don't want that to happen.
You spoke about General Flynn, and I love that Amanda Milius directed and produced the plot against the president. Everyone hasn't seen that. I'm working on doing a film festival where we're definitely going to feature her film. Amanda, I've known her since she was a baby. She was a toddler with my son Adam Mitchell.
Okay.
They were toddlers together and played together. And as I told you earlier, Adam was carrying his cell phone in his pocket, and he got testicular cancer, and the doctors right away immediately gave him oxycodone, which took his mind away. He wasn't able to make good decisions for himself. So I'm on a mission to save lives.
Good.
And have people be conscious. Also, my husband, Edgar, Adam's father, he called me before he died and said, Sheila, I need you to help save my life. But he'd given his power of attorney to the wrong person. And so we'll do a whole other interview about that, but I want to extend Adam's legacy. I want to do a film festival and feature all these great films and educate the people. Now, you mentioned in your speech that I just heard about you want the people to go to the school board, you want them to get involved with the grassroots in their community. Well, we have here, I'm a founding member of the St. Louis for Safe Technology, and they stonewall us. They went ahead and put those 5G towers up anyway. And if you've seen the documentary, Take Back Your Power, it can cause brain cancer. In San Diego, a young man in college and several others got brain cancer. So what in there stonewalling you? And then, of course, Dominican and the voting. How do we make sure we really are getting honest election?
That's okay. Let's kind of break it down a little bit. So why don't we go back to Amanda? Okay, I had the pleasure of meeting her just after the election. She was kind of with our team as we were building a team of people to fight against election fraud, and that's where I met her. And when the movie came out, I was just so impressed with the work that she did. That movie was excellent. I know she worked very closely with a very close friend of ours by the name of Lee Smith, who's a journalist. But Amanda what was funny was the plot against the president, but quite honestly, the centerpiece of that was, if we take out General Flynn, we're going to get Trump. And they failed. They did take out General Flynn, but they thought they were going to bury him forever, and they failed. General Flynn is probably more popular now than he's ever been, and he's got a bigger voice than he ever had. And so this is what happens when evil, thinks it can win over good. But Amanda's documentary was excellent. You could tell she grew up in a family that knew how to make films, and so I commend her for that.
Her mother and father taught me how to shoot a gun.
There you go. And I know, and what I love about her, she's very outspoken with her views, and she doesn't care about Hollywood cancel culture. And I just love brave people like Amanda. With regards to healthcare, I actually was in the healthcare business for a long time. Healthcare IT. The companies that I ran were healthcare IT companies. And what I noticed, and what I'm noticing now under kind of COVID, is that people are beginning to really wake up about how people are struggling with having confidence in the kind of normal health system, the way health is delivered, healthcare is delivered. They're watching doctors, or they're watching health systems and doctors deal with COVID by not providing solutions for COVID, like remdesivir or ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. People are coming in, they're sick, and they're telling them, go home and rest, and hopefully you'll get better. And they come back in, they put them on they intubate them, and then they're dead. So they're not focusing on solutions. And in addition to that, they're pushing back on doctors and groups of doctors that are looking for real solutions to people's health care. I think what we're going to see, and it's actually a business opportunity as well, we're going to see a massive shift towards kind of independent medicine. Just like we see a shift towards independent journalism because the mainstream media is so corrupt, we're going to see a shift towards independent medicine. That's, of course, going to be regulated, but they're not going to be drugging us to death, like unfortunately they did with your poor son, God rest his soul, and his father, just drugging them to death, and because it's a convenient way to just get rid of the pain and get the family off of their back. This is no way to keep a society healthy. Number one. Number two, nutrition is super important. And fitness is super important. And we have a bigger crisis with obesity and diabetes and things like that in this country than any other disease that's harming us right now. It's all about COVID right now. But the real problem is obesity and diet, and that's a big issue. So
Well, that's important. I'm taking this to tell you that freedom and liberty and the right to choose. No mandates. We do not need toxic poisons in our bodies if we choose not to have them, right?
The key that you just said is if we choose. Okay, we are dealing with a serious problem. COVID is a serious problem, and I have deep empathy for people who've lost loved ones with COVID. I truly do. It's not. I don't want to downplay it. I've had it myself. I was able to take pretty good care of myself. I personally use ivermectin and vitamin D and zinc, and in 4 or 5 days I was back on my feet. But I'm a healthy person. I don't smoke. I try to stay healthy. I try to exercise. I'm different than somebody who's overweight or has breathing problems. So everybody deals with disease differently. But we're talking about something that has a 99.5 on average, recovery rate, and they're imposing experimental vaccines on us, which the general public doesn't really know what's in those vaccines. I've traveled all over the third world. I've taken every vaccine known to man because, I went to Haiti just after the earthquake. I took hepatitis shots, whatever else shots I had to take, because I didn't want to get sick down there. And the chances of me getting it by drinking the water or even taking a shower in a place like Haiti are high. So I protected myself. It's not about being anti-vax per se. It's about properly vetting the drugs we are putting in our bodies for the long term. And having it shoved down our throat and forced on us, especially because we're seeing that it's not working. It's actually probably, in case of some of these studies in Israel, it's causing these Delta, for example, the Delta variant to be worse amongst vaccinated people. I just think it's early days for them to be rolling out these vaccines and expecting it to be mandated. It goes back to freedom of choice. We should have that freedom of choice. It's that simple. I don't know what else to say.
And how do we get honest elections. Has your brother, the general, have an idea on how we're going to? Somebody here at the event said we got to get rid of Dominion. We got to melt the machines down or something. I think that's what they said. How do we know that we're going to? I mean, I believe that Donald Trump won the election. I personally, that's my personal.
Yeah, I think the statistics, the evidence and the statistics point to a large, not just not just a small win by Donald Trump, but a large win by Donald Trump. And the media will say, oh, there's no evidence. There's no. This is a narrative. They all say the same thing. I think there's something like 30,000 affidavits that were signed over across the United States. Plenty of statistical evidence of fraud. But the problem is two things happened when we went to fight this election fraud. Number one, and I'll be self-critical of our side, we did a lousy job organizing our legal fights, okay, to go after this. We were kind of divided. There wasn't one central group of people that was led by a leader that was going to push this and get the evidence out and get the lawfare out. It was disparate, and the left was much more organized. The second thing is, for the first time in my lifetime, I feel like the court system completely failed the American people. Two simple examples of that. I think it was the Secretary of State in the state of Pennsylvania, very important swing state, changed the mail-in ballot laws and regulation laws, weeks before the election. When they went to sue for it, the court said the left-wing Supreme Court of the state of Pennsylvania said they had no standing. It was blatantly unconstitutional move because the state legislators are the ones that approve those changes. They forced it down using COVID as an emergency authorization, which is unconstitutional. They bring it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court punts. A couple dissents. I think Alito dissented and Justice Thomas dissented, and I think we were let down, frankly, by the two Trump appointees, by Amy Coney Barrett and by Judge Kavanaugh. I was deeply disappointed in those two. Second was Attorney General Paxton's lawsuit, and I'm no lawyer, but this is my opinion as a citizen. Attorney General Paxton's lawsuit, where the state of Texas came forward with their electors saying that their election should be looked at because they feel that their electors were let down, and 22 other states' attorneys general joined in on that. And the Supreme Court once again said, there was no standing. No standing was kind of the standard issue to say we don't want anything to do with this. This is too dangerous, so forth. So what do we do? Well, it starts with the work that's being done by the great Senator Karen Fann in the state of Arizona and her team on the Senate in Arizona, who have bravely supported a forensic audit, which is going to be coming out shortly. And I know people are very impatient about it. I get it. Americans are impatient people. But these things take time and they take a lot of effort. That's gonna really blow the doors open and expose a lot of the fraud that has taken place. And I think it's going to provide the backbone needed to Republican legislators in some of these swing states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, to say, holy crap, if they did that in Maricopa County, what happened in Wayne County? What happened in Philadelphia? What happened in Allegheny County? What happened in Wayne County and Detroit? So that's, because at the end of the day, if the Democrats were smart, they would be saying, bring the audits on. Let's do an audit. Come on. We won the election.
And especially of Joe Biden, his brother, and his son.
Well, there you go.
Why is the DOJ ignoring that?
Well,
You know?
I don't know, but it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's sad. I mean, we've lost credibility. These institutions have lost credibility. It's very obvious that Hunter Biden committed numerous felonies.
Unbelievable.
It's documented. So anyway, but back to
any Democrat could ever vote and support him. I do not know.
Well, this is what happened. They hated Trump so much that
Disinformation.
Yeah, well, they hated Trump. They voted on personality versus policy. They hated Trump's personality so much that they thought, oh, this guy's a nice guy. He's going to come in. Let alone the fact that he's been in the Senate since before we pulled out of Vietnam. So he's seen us pull out of He was in the Senate in 1972 when we pulled out of Vietnam in 75. This is how long he's been in there. He's a lifelong politician. He's never done anything else in his life. And we're getting more of the same. So anyway, so that's where we're at. Okay?
They want us to wrap this up, but I don't want to wrap it. I want to keep talking with you. I have so many friends that I've lost because they wouldn't look at the evidence of Joe Biden. And I wasn't happy about some of the things that I heard from Donald Trump, but how anyone cannot see that the evidence is there with all the witnesses and the partners that came forth. Anyway, I look forward to interviewing you and meeting your wonderful wife of 27 years. 28 years. I am so happy for you, and it's such a joy to meet you. Thank you for being with us here today and giving us this time. God bless you. My husband, although he's on the other side, and my son Adam, they're walking with us, and they're cheering us, and this is their legacy. This is their legacy, what we do. Thank you for being part of this incredible interview. God bless everyone.